Welcome back. You're watching KTN Business Today with me, Abi Agina. And just to give a quick recap of our Twitter poll question this afternoon, we're asking you, do you think marine insurance will affect the cost of imported goods? Do you think marine insurance will affect the cost of imported goods? Share with us your feedback on using our Twitter handle, that is at KTN News, or you can tweet me at Agina Abi. I already see a number of tweets coming in where we are seeing Sir Gashina is saying yes, it will affect the cost of imported goods. It is among the reasons that tax costs import and transit costs. Well, we continue to receive your feedback on this particular matter as we discuss this afternoon matters to do with the marine insurance. And joining me right now in studio, we have with us Daniel Kianga, who is the manager at the Kenya Trade Network, which is one of the trade facilitation agencies that was set up by the government. And thank you, Daniel, for coming over. Let's just dive deep into this matter. Of course, the government in its budget did make the proposal to have marine insurance be procured locally. Perhaps what were some of the fundamental reasons that informed this?
Thank you. I think basically the main reason why the government decided to implement that initiative is mainly to take care of the cost of doing business in this country and also the revenue the government of Kenya has been losing as a country. Mm-hmm. When you procure marine insurance externally, you are exporting foreign currency, you export jobs from this country. So the government decided that we need to build Kenya by implementing an initiative that basically will ensure that this money remains in Kenya, builds Kenya, and builds jobs for this country. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And looking at the role of Kentrade in all this, perhaps take us through what will be the input of Kentrade in ensuring that importers comply and also make use of the portals that have been set up?
Basically, Kentrade is one of the main government agencies involved in this initiative. The government has directed that Kentrade, KRA, IRA, the Ministry of Transport, particularly the Department of Maritime Affairs and Shipping, runs with this initiative and makes sure that it is operational in this country. Each of these government agencies have a specific role to play in making sure that this initiative goes live. Mm-hmm. The role of Kentrade in this is mainly to provide the electronic platform that will basically enable the importers, the insurance companies submit this application electronically, and then this information or certificate is available to the government agencies, particularly KRA, who are supposed to ensure that the business complies with this initiative. So as Kentrade, as the implementers of the single window system, we have been mandated to ensure that marine cargo insurance certificate is part of the documentations for the cargo clearance that are submitted electronically to the government by the business. Mm-hmm. So what we have done is basically to enhance the single window system, which is already operational. A number of permits are being submitted electronically. Payments are being done electronically. The system has been live for the last 3 years, and now this is just an enhancement of that to make sure that this certificate then comes in as part of the initiatives that government is bringing the country, and at a lesser cost, because, you know, when you automate documentation, you are basically cutting on cost in terms of time, in terms of movements from place to place, and in terms of printing papers. So basically, it's a solution that will assist this country to save a lot of money in terms of business.
Do you have any revenue projections that we are likely to net out of this initiative?
Yeah, from the industry statistics, it is said that marine cargo insurance costs around 20 billion as an industry. Currently, Kenya is doing around 2.9 billions. And therefore, the target of the government is to bring in the 17.1, which is still outside there. And if we achieve that, then we are talking of adding 17.1 billion in the circulation for this country. So basically, it's a big saving for this industry.
Interesting. I'd just like you to pause for a minute, and we want to bring in another key stakeholder in this particular issue, and that is William Otieno, who is the director for KIFWA, who will be joining us via phone link. And good afternoon, Mr. William. Perhaps we've seen some degree of opposition by different players. Perhaps what is your stand on this matter around marine insurance?
Thank you, Agina. Just to clarify, William Otieno is the director of Keynote Logistics Limited and a member of KIFWA, Kenya International Freight Warehousing Association.
Oh, sorry for that.
Yeah, that's fine. But clearly, going back to your question, as industry, I would say we are not opposed to the initiative by the government to have this marine cargo insurance collected locally. Mm-hmm. Our major problem is that it should not become an untariff barrier. An untariff barrier means for as long as you are introducing something in along the line of clearing where we already had a procedure initially, we expect that this new initiative will not become a barrier to smooth trade. In other words, smooth evacuation of cargo from the port of Mombasa.
Uh-huh. Interesting point that you're raising. Perhaps how will this play out in the coming days now that we are seeing that the majority of the players in the industry, being the importers, are not fully conversant on how this will be applied moving forward?
In my view, and this is what I keep advocating, we need to slow down on the implementation and involve the stakeholders more specifically the clearing agents and the importers. Because we realize that the implementers would like to have this collection from the importers and by extension the clearing agents who represent them. Mm-hmm. It is therefore important that we involve them, we sensitize them, we become part and parcel of the process. Then clearly this will become achievable. But when the implementation is closing out the very users, then there will be resistance. And what we must avoid at all costs is to fight each other, because just like it has been rightfully put, this insurance has been exported to the supply countries. Mm-hmm. We would be proud to have this locally, because then we shall build our own, we shall build our own country, we shall build our own industry. And in my view, it's a perfect scenario for the private sector to come together and make good the opportunity of making revenue collection. And
just before we let you go, perhaps what are some of the actions you might take if this doesn't get to be slowed down as you've mentioned?
Well, we don't need to take any action because, again, this is about terms of trade, and Kenya is a signatory of WTO, where the Incoterms take precedence. And the two most important players in the Incoterms is the buyer and the seller. All right. We come in as clearing agents, as representatives of the buyer. So when they decide they're not paying insurance, there's very little you can do. We will simply advise them, don't pay unless we get to be part and parcel of the process. But again, remember I said we want to support the initiative. We want to be part of the process. We only want to be involved so that we make it happen.
All right. Let me bring in Daniel. Perhaps if you would respond to his sentiments. They are saying that you perhaps need to slow down in the implementation. And what's your view on this?
Basically, I do not think there is a cause for alarm in terms of the government and the industry preparedness in the rollout of the marine cargo insurance certificate locally, because there's a lot of work going on in preparation for this. A number of initiatives have taken place. We have had several forums with the industry players, the insurance industry, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Shippers Council of East Africa, KIFWA, Clearing and Forwarding Agencies.
But the issue is, Daniel, yes, Daniel, the issue is that they're saying the introduction of this issue around marine insurance will become a non-tariff barrier.
I'm just going to explain that. Mm-hmm. There is nothing like becoming a non-tariff barrier, because basically we are not bringing a new concept. Marine cargo insurance is even being done now. What we are doing now is to bring what was being paid externally to be paid in Kenya to build Kenya. Mm-hmm. And KIFWA and the other players, we are actually in communication with them. As we speak now, this morning I was in a meeting with the key players in the industry, the government side of it, IRA, KRA, and the Ministry of Transport.
What were some of the deliberations?
And we have actually agreed on a rollout plan. We are going to engage all the stakeholders. We'll be seeing something in the media soon. We are going to have workshops with KIFWA, KRA, and our other players in all the major towns. Actually, we are planning to have a workshop for KIFWA this week, either on Thursday or Friday, in Nairobi. We have done it in Mombasa. We'll be doing a repeat in Mombasa sometimes next week, in Kisumu, and also Eldoret. So I think basically what we are experiencing now in the industry is the fear of unknown. But basically, we just need to move. And once we are there, I'm very sure and confident that Kenyans will like this initiative because it will be a plus for this country.
Just a similar question I asked to one of the interviewees earlier. Do you feel this will impact the cost of imported goods locally?
In terms of impacting the cost, from where I sit, I expect the cost to come down. Why? Because the logistics, which are more complicated when you are getting the insurance from China, India, and the rest, will be done locally.
All right.
The issue of moving with the manual certificates, which we are moving from office to office, will be gone. So basically, we are going to experience a reduction in the cost of doing business in this country if we implement this initiative.
Many thanks there, Daniel Kianga, the Manager Trade Facilitation at the Kenya Trade Network, just giving us more perspectives on this issue around marine insurance, citing that the industry is worth close to 20 billion. Currently, it's just earning close to 2 billion. So there's a lot of potential. And he also has assured players that moving forward, this will not affect the cost of goods imported from the overseas market. And interesting conversation there. Many thanks for coming. And still keeping it matters insurance, well, Jubilee Insurance, I beg your pardon, has today announced the launch of its marine cargo online portal that will enable its customers and intermediaries manage their own marine insurance policy at the click of a button. Speaking during the launch at Serena Hotel in Nairobi, Jubilee Insurance Kenya Chief Executive Officer Patrick Tumbo said that through the online platform, clients will now be able to self-manage their accounts through a user-friendly portal, giving ease access for importers from anywhere in the world to interact with the system in a convenient, fast and easy way. The online portal will give clients the ability to set up accounts through which they can make declarations.
The world. And that's where the insurance law started from, and that's how the trade of insurance started, and it has grown to where it is today.
The customer spoke, and he said he doesn't want to be walking the streets of Nairobi or Mombasa looking for that marine cover. He wants to do it at the comfort of his office, and we allowed Jubilee for that.
In terms of marine business, this is very, very important because it should be able to provide, especially our customs department, Kenya Revenue Authority, with another layer of revenue protection and data.
Interesting developments there. And farmers in Laikipia County have benefited from irrigation drip kits to boost food production in dry areas. The county government has introduced a new irrigation system in an effort to revolutionize small-scale agricultural sector that has seen the farmers engage in horticultural production and thus improving livelihoods.
With the failure of the long rains in 2016, Most parts of the country are still struggling to produce enough food to feed the people. Laikipia County has not been an exception, and the county government has stepped in to help minimize further suffering by its people and has distributed irrigation kits in most affected areas.
We are here today celebrating one of our farmers, a great farmer who is a beneficiary from one of our program of sustainable agriculture farming, particularly towards food security as well as income generating at the household level. So far, over 200 drip kits have been distributed to various farmers in the region and are now acting as demonstration centers to other farmers. And once embraced, more will be supplied to interested groups and farmers. It has costed the county government over 6 million shillings so far. We provided this group with 49 drip kits, which are taking care of an eighth of an acre. And here we can see that this area, it's in the month of January when we know the rest of the country and the rest of the county is dry. But you come here to this farmer, you find the area is green, you find the spinach are there, and you find even watermelon of this kind. This, the county hopes, will help boost food security, while at the same time encouraging proper water harvesting and recycling for use. Studies have shown that drip irrigation system uses 30 to 50% less water than conventional watering methods such as sprinklers.
We are focused on promoting water harvesting from the runoff.
According to the county's chief officer in charge of agriculture, Martin Mwangi, the kits are easy to use and comes with gravity-fed drip irrigation systems serving an eighth of an acre, purposely for demonstration, while installation and guide on basic operations is done for free.
You can ideally say that what you are producing is almost organic because the land is a virgin and it has not been overutilized.
The new kit is ideal for farmers in arid and semi-arid regions where water is not sufficient for agriculture. Majority of farmers are rain dependent but can now triple their yields by planning for 3 months annually. Philip Keitan, KTN News.
Well, everything that has a beginning definitely has an end, and it is time now to wrap up the show. But before we let you go, we just want to recap our Twitter poll question. Today we're asking you, do you think marine insurance will affect the cost of imported goods? And we have your feedback already streaming in thick and fast. 82% of you are saying yes, it will affect the cost of imported goods, whereas 18% are saying no, it will not have any impact on the cost of imported goods. Many thanks for your feedback, and we can keep the conversation going online as we continue to engage on our platforms. For now, my name is Ambi Agina, and I'll pave the way for Worldview coming up shortly.